All right, guys, we're here. We're live. We're not live on YouTube, but we're live behind the scenes right now. New Poker Live podcast, live in studio here at GTO headquarters. I'm joined today by the man himself. You guys might recognize this guy. If you're on Instagram, you've seen this guy with his face right here, having a great summer, playing high stakes in Bobby's room, getting out of line with some women. Not much out of line with women this summer, to be honest with you guys, but a lot of poker behind the scenes, a lot of looks in the car. I think he shaved his head the other day. He gave away some shirts to big fans, came to the poker room. He's a guy that a lot of people out there in poker world love to follow, love to see more of. We got Gus Hansen in the house. Gus, welcome back to the Poker Live podcast. The people have been they've been waiting for your return.
Well, thanks a lot for having me. I think we're building a great relationship here. I like your rants, and I hope you like mine. So we're doing good.
Do my ranting, you think? Do I rant sometimes?
you just did, and I fucking loved it.
Oh, so, thank you. Okay. No, I do try to rant sometimes, and I think your rants are different than mine because you like wear your heart on your sleeve a lot of times. So if you're going through it, or if you're losing, or if you've been playing a long session, you're like very honest with your feelings. It seems like when you share your stuff on Instagram for people out there.
I think the fact that most of the videos I put up is a random one take where I just like, okay, I fucking lost today, so that's what I'm gonna talk about, or whatever it is. So in that sense, I don't use filters. I don't do anything. I think a lot of people have seen my nose from different angles because I just have the fucking phone
like
in
down
my
here.
face.
Yeah,
so,
it's like up here. Yeah.
So I'm not too aware of all that stuff, but I just give what I think about, and obviously when I'm in Vegas, it's a lot about poker.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that when you're at home, you hang out with different people. You have like private games you go to sometimes. Sometimes you play sports. You love sports, obviously, and it seems like you know a lot of people who are in a part of other sports world as well too. But then when you come here during the summer, we get poker the entire time, and you're pretty much grinding. It seems like every single day in Bobby's room, or maybe hop at the Rio sometimes for a tournament too.
Not too many tournaments, but Bobby's room is my main hub. It's where I like to be. It's a home field advantage. I know all the floor personnel. I know all the dealers. It's just a nice atmosphere. I mean, I don't know. It's a long time gone show. It's called Cheers. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody... I know that song.
Yes.
I think
so that it has a homey feeling at Bellagio. I've spent a lot of time there, and I like the fact that we have the big games there.
Yeah, so you obviously play the biggest game that runs in Bobby's room. Last night, I think you said you were playing 3,000, 6,000 limit with a 60K cap in the big bet games.
That is correct.
It seems like it's getting about that time, June 28th. The action's starting to kick up. More people are starting to come to town. More people are starting to get stuck. They maybe want to chase their losses. And it seems like you're feeling right at home. This is like the time where you sort of thrive in here.
Well, I mean, I actually came early this year, and we've been playing 2 and 4,000, same limit, same levels through the first 4 weeks, and I'm starting to see some tension amongst some of my opponents, and it seems like there was a consensus yesterday. We need to kick it up to 3-6, and I've been doing okay, so I'm saying, just give me your best shot, and with that, give me all your money.
So has it been a great summer so far? Because I know that you strive for a great summer. You tell yourself every time it's going to be a great summer.
Yes, definitely. I think I've been a little bit better prepared this year than other years. And this is the main time for me. When I'm back in Europe, when I'm back in Denmark, when I'm back in Monaco, I don't play a lot of poker. I might play a little bit online, which we know is not my... scene, but I do it to practice a little. I play like small PLO 5-10, even though you can lose a fair amount of money on that. I've tried that, but just to get in the...
You ain't losing 3,000, 6,000 limit money there.
No, definitely not. But just to get in the rhythm and just practice a little bit so you don't completely forget your craft. But this is the main time, and I try to be focused and try to be relaxed and well rested and hopefully play my best poker.
Yeah, so you mentioned a new approach this year, and certainly last summer it seemed like you were a lot more out of line during the summer. I know there was, some women may have showed up in town, maybe some more nights out drinking with people, and even longer sessions it seemed like as well last year too. And it seems like this year you have a lot more focus on not doing that. playing these shorter sessions, maybe staying a lot more focused in and not letting anything outside of poker distract you?
I think, especially in the poker world, in the gambling world, whether you're betting on sports, whether you're playing poker, backgammon, which was obviously my earlier career, I think a key word is balance, and I think I've been a little more balanced with actually also getting some sleeps, maybe slightly shorter sessions, and as you mentioned, instead of the 36 hours, which last year I cut a lot down on my long sessions. And this year I've tried to cut just down a little bit more. I mean, you just play better on your 5th hour than you do on your 35th hour. It's just without comparison. So I've tried to play a little shorter, get a little more rest, more exercise. I've played more squash, played more paddle tennis, a little gym session here and there. So it seems like it definitely does not hurt the results. So just being a little bit more focused, but today we are gonna have some drinks.
We got our White Russians here.
Yeah, we gotta have some drinks.
I'm very my first White Russian I've ever had right here.
Refills is coming up.
Refills are definitely gonna come up here. So what do you think about I guess I didn't drink this. Being on Instagram, man. So you've been on Instagram now. Last summer you were brand new to Instagram. You kind of didn't know what was going on. You just posted your stuff on there, and people enjoyed it because, one, I think they're interested in what you're doing. Two, you're a unique personality who. You're not, like, a lot of people put on a facade in poker. They pretend to be this positive person. They pretend to be about the fans, or they pretend to be a bunch of different shit. And I feel like with you, that's not what's going on. I think you have different personalities, but the person that you show on camera is pretty similar to how you are all the time. So you're not necessarily acting. You're just maybe bringing out a different part of your personality. I think people really connect with that as well, too. So kind of now that you've been doing it now for over a year, I think it's about a year and a half or something like that, what's your thoughts on just that whole experience of the fandom, and people, they really love it too and they really enjoy it?
I'm not sure I quite understand the whole Instagram thing yet.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, I've been on for a year.
Yeah.
I think like in, let's call it the off season, since whatever, February, March,
since the cold winter,
and
what was it called?
February, March till like I came over here. I think like 2-3 months. I think maybe I posted one time on Instagram.
Yeah, you weren't doing
because
much,
I was just doing my own stuff, which, I mean, like you said, I like to do some sports. I don't bring my close family into I don't bring my everyday meals into Instagram. I like to post something about poker, which I think most of my followers are into poker. Yeah. So I'd like to focus on that. And if I ain't got nothing to say, I'm not going to say anything.
Not going to say anything.
So, but as you said, I think I'm being fairly honest in my posts, just saying what comes to mind. I feel a little fucked up when I've lost a lot in a session, and that's what I say. And I'm a little more smiley face when, as of yesterday, I beat them up pretty good. So I think I just say what comes to mind, and it's probably, to some people at least, a little more refreshing than the facade or all the 27 filters or whatever you can put on.
Yeah, I mean, there's you talk about Instagram being new to you, but I think back to, you were doing kind of your own videos back in the early 2000s. I feel like even like the Gus TV, and you seem like you were always into these sorts of things like that. Like you were always kind of into just kind of just putting the camera on, kind of talking about what you're doing. There are even some videos of you online where you talk about some big days online you've had and big losses you've had online too. So it seems like you've always really been willing to share, and maybe this Instagram is one of the perfect platforms for you to do that, because you can share at your own leisure, and you can share when you play, and you can share what you want to do. And I think that the poker fans, man, just love it, right? It's pretty cool to see, right? You had that giveaway and everyone just came out for it, and you got to sign some shirts, and that's such a fucking cool thing to do.
It seems to me, like you say, it's obviously, like I said, it's new to me, but it seems like a good venue for me to share some of my ideas, thoughts, what's been going on, and like you said, it seems like the t-shirt giveaway, I mean, I definitely had a lot of positive response on that, even though some were a little sad that you kind of had to be in Vegas to collect, but I mean, again, I've never tried a competition on Instagram. I might try again with some advice from my man Poppy here, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think I saw Kipster at the Rio, and he talked about kind of doing a giveaway. You have any ideas? I was like, oh, a giveaway is a good idea for something like that. So yeah, he's always on the grind. I like him a lot too.
Yeah,
he's been
no,
a
he's a good guy.
long time Portland Omaha player too as well. Played a bunch online years ago. So I like him a lot, man. He seems cool.
No, he's a good friend of mine.
Is he? Yeah. Yeah, has he been on? He's been on this Instagram a few times because I remember this because I made a music video. I forgot about this. I made a music video of you saying it's going to be a great summer last year because I had a prop bet where I need to make it was probably a fucking dumb music video, let's be honest, but that I don't even know where the idea came from, and then I just like mashed it up. I put all these old school like poker classic moment clips in there and stuff like that, and I just used it's going to be a great summer. So
no,
it could have been better.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was good too, but people are like, "This sucks." I'm like, "Well, listen, I'm not a music producer. I play pop in Omaha. Like I do podcasts. I play PLO. I don't know how to fucking make a professional song. Like I'm whatever I don't know, professional song person or something like that. So, but did you see the video at all? Did you get a chance to listen to the song at all or hear it at all?
Yeah.
You liked it?
Yeah, I thought you did a good job. I mean,
I tried.
Like again, I'm not a music producer. I mean,
yeah, we're not.
I'm sure there's people that could have done this and that and made it a little sweeter, whatever. But I like the raw.
Thank you. Yeah, you had some good clips. Luckily, like the girl that danced on you and then ripped your shirt open, and then there at the crap said, "Well, they're giving away money." Great summer. They're so fucking. You're ridiculous. Let's talk some poker, man. All right, so Jungleman's in town. Obviously, you saw Jungleman. He had the photo with the 15 beautiful ladies in the Mediterranean Sea. I'm sure you're a little jealous. I know I was a little jealous about that too. Now Jungleman and you guys are arch nemesis. You guys love to battle. You guys like to mix it up. What's the report so far with you and the Jungleman in your battles this summer?
Well, I did throw out an early challenge when I think he was around. Maybe he was in LA. I don't know, but I didn't hear anything back. He has visited Bobby's room, but one thing, I do not play short deck, and Jungleman plays a lot of short deck, and it seems like I have no idea. They play obviously with some of the Chinese, some of the Macau guys, and I think they're playing pretty high.
Right.
So it seems like, to me, the honest version is that Jungleman, his mind has been preoccupied with the short deck, and he has just not been playing his best 52 card poker, whether we're playing stud, whether we're playing Raz, whether we're playing no limit hold'em, pot limit Omaha. We obviously in Bob's room we always play a 12-game mix, so all of the games, and it's just tough to beat a lineup with Scott Sievert, Brian Raz, Patrick Antonius, whoever it is, if your mind is preoccupied and you're not focused on the game that you're playing right now. So basically, Jungleman, come on down. I'm going to take all your money.
So you're still waiting for the epic showdown against the Jungleman.
I will say, again, we have played some heads-up battles.
Uh-huh.
And I am behind.
You're behind? Okay.
I am behind.
You're not afraid to admit that?
So, okay. No. I mean, that's just facts. I mean, so I'm looking to rebound. And as of right now, as I said, I think he's been focusing on other things, poker games. So in that sense, I like my chances. But then again, I mean, he
is the Jungleman?
He's a good player.
Yeah.
No doubt about that, but you also have to bring your game to be able to win in Bobby's room, and hopefully also bring your game to be able to beat me heads up, even though that's what he has been doing. So we'll see if the heads up comes around. Right now there's we just played 3,000, 6,000 yesterday. The game is running. There's must move games, which is kind of for the first time this summer. So there's one game, there's two games. So right now it doesn't look like any heads-up action is going to happen between me and Jungle. Maybe when things starts to die down a little bit in 3 weeks' time, we'll see. But right now I'm just going with the flow, playing the ring game in Bobby's room, and yeah, I like my chances.
Yeah. So when you come here and when you play this summer, obviously your goals are to play well and to make money, right? Do they extend outside of that, or are you pretty much locked in with your main focuses set on making money and having this be a summer where you come here with a certain amount of money and you leave with more money than you came with?
Well, I couldn't help but notice one of the questions you wrote up there. What does success in poker mean?
Exactly, yeah.
And obviously, if we again just cold hard facts, which is numbers, is are you gonna win more money or are you gonna lose more money?
Right.
If we look at my online career, we have a clear-cut example of not being very successful, not
being a good game selector
in terms of money, and also in terms of life. I made the online overshadow so many things that I should have done instead, whether it's towards friends, family, sports, etc., etc. So I mean, I was in a dark place. No, but I did some stupid things, and I'm sure in the future I will do other stupid things as well.
Yeah.
But one way to measure success in poker is obviously by winnings. How much did you put in? How much did you take out? So definitely this summer and prior summers as well, I'm trying to put less in and take more out, and so far so good. There's still 3-4 weeks left to see what the end result is going to be.
You seem like you're in great spirits, buddy. I'm going to be honest with you. You seem like you're in pretty good spirits right now.
No. I mean,
must be going. You got a good night tonight. You're going to go to a concert tonight, but it seems like you're doing well, man.
I am doing well. And again, I think part of it is slightly being more disciplined, which was a word that didn't exist back in my online...
you know what that meant, right? Like,
I was just like, okay, this guy wants to play. Okay, he's probably the best in the world at that game, so let me try and lose to him. And then we take another one who's the best at this game, and I just didn't give a fuck. Now I give a little bit more of a FUCK. So in that sense, I'm being a little more careful, just trying to see Timofey, one of the Russian players.
He's a true teller.
True teller. He's obviously a tremendous player. So am I looking to play Timofey heads up? No, not really. Do I mind him being in the game? Well, I'd rather play a weaker player than him, but obviously the ring game is what it is when we sit down in Bob's room. But like you said, table selection has not been high on my priority list, but it's getting up there. I mean, some players, it's not good. I'm not saying I'm number 10 poker player in the world, but if you are number 10 and you always play against number 1 and 2, you're just going to lose your money. And if you're a number 2 million and you always play against number 3 billion, then you're going to make money. So, I mean, table selection, just being aware of how good your opponents are is, of course, important. And I've taken that into consideration after blowing a lot of fucking money online.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the unfortunate thing is that when people think about you and your poker game, I think they sometimes forget that you've had a lot of tournament success previous to playing online. And when you were playing online, you were playing the highest stakes for hours against the best players in the entire world. So you weren't like, okay, I'll play against this guy who's not very good. He's taking a shot at me. You were always taking a shot against the top players at various different games, whether that's PLO or Omaha 8 or even some of the other mixed games as well, too. I think it's kind of unfortunate that when people think about you, they think, well, he lost less money online when, I mean, you put yourself in bad positions as you recognize now and you kind of see now. So if you would have handled things differently, do you feel like you would have had a lot different results? Because I certainly, I feel
obviously
like
I would have different results. I think we all as poker players have a lot to learn. I mean, I try to improve my game on a daily basis because if I think I can sit down in Bobby's room and play for 8 hours without making mistakes, I'm a fucking fool. Because we all make mistakes all the time. I mean, if you just take like big bet games like pot limit and no limit, hey, you bet 3,000, he called you, but he would also have called 5,000. You made a mistake. Even though you got a value bet in and thought you got the max. We're just going to make mistakes all the time. And I think in poker, it's probably one of the few games that the one that makes the fewest mistakes wins. And obviously in the online days, just playing against the best, I made a lot of mistakes. If I played against worse opponents, my results would obviously have been a lot different.
Right.
So
does that when we talk about this, right? Is that something that you try to keep that in your mind and not make that same mistake again, to not let that happen again to you?
Well, I think it's important to learn from your mistakes, and I spent 8 years online never learning from my mistakes, and it's okay here in 2019 try to improve a little bit upon that, and just try to make fewer mistakes that you can correct. And like I said, nobody is ever going to play perfect poker, but if you can minimize your mistake and maybe not always play against the best players in the world, probably a better result will emerge.
I'm sure you notice now when you're playing in Bobby's room, and I've seen some of the lineups before. I think earlier, Matt Ashton, True Teller, and Crazy Elior. Crazy Elior. So when you're playing against those guys, and then a businessman comes in, or some of the weaker regulars come in who aren't playing as much, you probably have to feel like, well, listen, I've been battling against these guys for a while now. When I play against these guys, I'm on top of my game, and that's the big advantage from playing good players, is that when you play against weaker players, you're like, oh, wow, wait a second, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sure you notice that too in your game. You just feel probably infinitely more comfortable against those weaker players in spots where maybe you wouldn't feel that way had you not been put to the test by these other great players too.
I think I understand what you're saying. I think that goes for everything. I mean, if you want to improve your game, you kind of have to test some limits. Right. And obviously I played, I think I posted a post on Instagram where I played against, like you said, Matt Ashton, Timofey Trutel, and Crazy Elior. You will not find a tougher lineup in this world. And we played a four-handed game for maybe an hour, something like that. And I don't mind that. I don't mind getting in there, get entangled with some really good players, and see what comes out of it. Maybe there's something to notice, maybe there's something to learn, and maybe you will emerge stronger after that session. Because if you never test your own limits, whether we're talking poker now, but if we're talking sports especially, which I just love sports and all kinds of level, whether it's team sports, individual sports, and if you don't push yourself, you're just not going to improve. If you just want to hum around mellow yellow, then fine, but you got to push the limits, and obviously testing yourself against a lineup like that. This is not a lineup I'm going to play every fucking day in Bobby's room, because that's just going to be too tough. But hey, throwing a ball up, testing, hey, okay, we're down to four-handed. I think we'll see what happens. And I think I emerged even-ish after an hour and a half, which is not a bad result against these three guys. And like you said, maybe that'll fine-tune you for some other situation in the future. Yeah,
I mean, I think in that situation, you need to be really thinking about the plays you're making, and you have to be really locked in and trying to get better on the fly, which I think some players are better at. I imagine that's something that you're pretty great at too, is just kind of trying to pick up the little things. You mentioned the value bet 5,000 versus 3,000. Well, some people don't pay attention to that in the moment. They bet the 3,000, they get the value from it, and they say, okay, cool, next hand. But I think the great players are constantly thinking, well, could I have got 7? Could I have got 5? Could I have got more in that situation? And it would seem to me that you fall into that category of someone who's constantly thinking about, all right, like, did I do this right? Did I do this wrong? And it seems like you probably, just a lot of overthinking, some would call it, but that is probably what allows you to play at this level for so long, and also play so many different games as well too, is because your mind works in a certain way where it's just, okay, analyzing every option over and over and over again until you come to an answer that you feel comfortable with. And then it's about having discipline to actually act on that knowledge that you've gained, which that's a challenging thing.
Implement it into a game. I think it's important while you're playing a session that you don't want to overthink too many of the previous hands you've been playing, because then you're not going to be focused on the hand that you're actually playing. But maybe after the session, I think a great way to learn and a fun way is to discuss with your poker buddies. Hey, I had this hand, and actually, I mean, when I'm staying out here, we have a house. We're like 14 guys right now.
Nice.
Half of them poker players, half of them from people we know from sports and stuff like that. And there's like this good energy we get home at night, we sit by the pool, have a bite to eat, maybe have a beer, and basically, okay, Kipster, 2 hands from you, Martin, 2 hands from you, 2 hands from me, and then we see, okay, obviously I played this like an idiot, but I didn't look at it from that perspective, so okay, have to take that into account. Maybe I played it good. It's important also to mull over the hands that you're playing really, really well. You should not always look at your mistakes. You also want to look at hands where you really maximized. Maybe you set up a cool bluff that worked because you told a good story, etc., etc. But just getting inputs from hands that other people have played, get their take on how you played your hands. I think it's a great and a fun way to learn or get new ideas. And I think it's important not to be just stuck in one pattern. And I think that's one of my fortes, is that I'm willing to put my nose out there. Sometimes you get some hits, but you also learn from it. If you just stay silent in the back, chances are that you will improve are not great.
I think you brought up a really good point, which is the idea of talking about the hands that you win. And I think the reason for doing that, the reason for talking about hands you win is because sometimes we don't know why we played the hand well. And when someone asks us questions and helps us bring that thought process out of us, that's when we realize, oh, we played it well because we did this and we thought this. And then we can find other situations that are going to be parallel to that spot where you can then implement that same strategy. And that's why being able to articulate yourself is so important, because you say, oh, well, I did this here. Okay, now I can do this here and I can do this here. But if you don't always know why you did something, it sometimes is hard to find similar situations where you can then implement a similar strategy against a certain player like that.
Well, I think what you're just saying is just preparation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, if you've been in that situation before, if you've had that thought process before, it just becomes a lot easier to make the right move at the right time. Of course, in poker, we also have the timing issue. You had the right play in mind, but you gave it away because you hesitated. So now everybody fucking knows that you don't have that hand you're trying to represent. So it just went down the drain. So preparation is key. And I mean, again, I hate to say it, but I just can't help myself, which is a big difference between Obama and Trump, because Trump just blabs out and has no fucking idea what he's saying. And Obama seemed slightly more prepared, because he knew what he was talking about.
Right.
And I will not talk more about politics.
If you want to catch Gus on politics, go to twitter.com/Gus Hansen or Real Gus Hansen on there, and you can find Gus's political takes. I just like reading them. I'm not that super interested in politics, but when I think you post some stuff, I enjoy reading that. Like Daniel posts some stuff, and he gets a little kind of carried away. But I enjoy, like, I think Durr posts some stuff about politics on there too as well.
I definitely get my Trump supporter hate mail, but I mean, I can handle the truth.
I mean, who cares, right? We got some. I know you got to a concert go. We got some questions on the top. You see, like, I don't even use the outline. You kind of get to see how I do this. I kind of know what's in the outline, because he said when I wrote the outline down here, and he said, "Oh, you should have wrote it down before I got here." I don't need to write it down. It's kind of in my head, but
yeah. Wow.
It's good to go back to when you're here. You know what I mean? You kind of go to it, but I kind of know what's there. That's from the 24 tabling days online. I'm used to multi-tabling and multitasking, so there's no chat right now, which is a little strange. So everyone in the chat watching this, you can't chat. I'm very sorry right now. Leave a comment below. Tell us what you think about it. Tell us what you want to see. Potentially down the road, maybe you want to see something from Gus out there on his Instagram, since he's going to be here for a few more weeks in Vegas. And kind of questions that people had on Twitter. I know people want to know, what's one of the biggest winning days you've had so far this summer?
I have always been in the kind of don't kiss and tell. That's kind of been my go-to. But my biggest win was actually yesterday. Which
I knew you were in a good mood, man. I knew you were in a good mood.
Kind of makes sense. Obviously, the swings are bigger because we increased the limits by 50%.
Right.
I mean, we've been playing 2 and 4 all summer. Now we're playing 3 and 6. Also increased the cap in the big bet games from 40,000 to 60,000. So it's 1.5x. So obviously the swings are going to be bigger. And let's just say was fairly happy with my decision making yesterday, but I was also pretty happy with the cards I got dealt.
Yeah, I mean,
one should not underestimate
how it
that.
works, right?
That's a very powerful. If you just have the best hand at the river, you really have to fuck up not to win. And I had the best hand at the river a fair amount of time, more than my share yesterday. So yesterday was a big winning day. But I think if we go back to some of my posts on Instagram, I think was it last Friday? I think I mentioned. A serious six-figure loss, and let's go with an even more significant six-figure win yesterday. So that's a little teaser.
Thank you. Well, I think the fans appreciate that. And kind of after you have that big losing day, what do you do to get yourself back into a good spirit, a good mindset? Because I know a lot of when people out there watching this, when they lose 2 buy-ins at the 2-5 table at the win, they're crushed for a week or two. And when you're playing in these stakes and you have a massive losing day, your biggest losing day of the summer, what do you do to get over that?
Well, I mean, I am getting better at table selection. But bankroll management has never been my strength. Will probably never, ever be my strength. So in that sense, I'm playing for serious stakes that I can feel.
Yeah.
I can feel I'm not going broke tomorrow.
Right.
I'm not planning to go broke within the next 3-4 weeks. But I definitely, and I think I think actually that's very important, that you play for stakes that mean something to you. You don't want to play too high. You're handcuffed. If you play too low, you don't care. But you want to play at a level where you feel the pain of a loss, but it's not going to drain you completely and leave you devastated for weeks. So basically that day, I think I recorded the video at stoplight at Sahara and Flamingo or whatever it was. Sahara and Flamingo,
really,
they don't intertwine,
really.
but whatever. And the thing is, I was on my way back, and we played paddle tennis for 2.5 hours in the evening, and that's a good way for me to relax, just to get some sweat going, get some energy, play some ball with some friends, and eat some good food, go to bed,
Get the fuck over it.
And then again at night maybe mull over a couple of the hands that you played. Okay, I fucked up there. I called. I mean, it was just so clear. I mean, I had in the 50K Players Championship, basically one of the first hand I played. I flopped the nut straight, Ace Jack 10. I had King Queen 7-7 double suited, Ace Jack 10. The turn is a 7, but also a flush that I didn't have. So now I have straight. I have a set, but the flush is there. I check. He checks. The initial aggressor checks behind. Now it comes an ace. So he bet out on the flop. He called my check raise. He didn't bet when the flush came. Now he bets when the fucking ace came. What do I think he has? He obviously has a full house. It doesn't shit matter that I had the worst full house. But I don't like to fold full houses. It's just not in my nature. So I called because I'm an idiot. And he had quads, obviously. Right. I mean, he played his hand pretty so fucking straightforward, face up. He might not have had 4 aces, but he could have aces full of jacks, aces full of 10, whatever. I mean, I'm basically getting 2-1 on this call, and looking back, I had somewhere between 0 and 2%, and that's just not a good call.
Right.
End of story.
Right.
So in that sense, you got to look at some of those hands and say, what the fuck was I thinking? Or more precisely, you weren't thinking at all. And you want to eliminate that because it's just a clear-cut mistake. And like I said earlier, the one with the fewest mistakes is the one who's going to win in poker. Cheers.
So I know.
Cheers.
Very much cheers to you. So I know that we're going to, I know we have to cut it short here a little bit, not the usual length, but me and Gus are going to get together for a podcast later on here. That's why we're going to run through a couple more of these more. Okay. Have you ever seen, because I saw this from Doyle Brunson. Doyle Brunson said, one time I saw a guy die at the poker table. Have you ever seen somebody die at a poker game you were in?
No,
whether
I
it's
have-
robbery or murder. Doyle's crazy. He must have seen some crazy
Well,
shit,
I
man.
think there's a serious distinction between poker nowadays, where it's widely accepted, it's shown on TV, it's a household game. Everybody has played a little poker, maybe for who's doing the dishes or whatever it is. Back in the days, I came to Vegas for the first time in '92, and basically Doyle.
92.
92, yeah.
How old are you?
I'm an old motherfucker.
How old are you?
45.
You ain't that
So,
old.
but Doyle, one thing you gotta give credit to Doyle, he's a grand old man, he's a legend, and he is so much by far the best 85-year-old poker player in the world. I mean, it's really astounding that he can keep up this level. And he's putting himself and his money on the line every day in Bobby's room against the likes of Matt Ashton, Timofey Truteller, Jungleman, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So he's in there battling, and he obviously has more experience in the game of poker than anybody else have. But back in the days, which is the question we came from, like the 70s, it just sounded like, from the stories that he tells, it's just a different story. I mean, different era, different people. Everybody knew that everybody was trying to
Hustle. Yeah.
take an ankle, whatever it was. So, I mean, I think the bullets and everything was flying a little more than nowadays. We're playing at MGM, we're playing at the Bellagio, some big grand corporation, etc., etc.
Security guards all around
where
the place.
at least on the surface everything is under control. I'm sure there's a lot of lobbying and all kinds of deals this way and that way that we never get to see, but nonetheless, on the surface, it's a much cleaner game. So no, I've never seen anyone die. I doubt I will see it. I have been in some.
You've been in some games, maybe.
I've been in some private games with, not to single out Russians, but let's call them shady games.
Okay.
And let's just say I'm trying to be a little more careful in the future on that on that as well. So.
Have you ever been robbed in a poker game before? So we had Barry Greenstein on the podcast, and he talked about a story where they were at the Paris club, and he was playing with Phil Ivey. They were playing props, and he told a story about how Phil Ivey they were trying to angle each other while they were under a table in place of being robbed during props or something like that. And I've never heard a robbery story quite like that before. So have you ever been? Actually, he told two. He said he was robbed at a home game down in Texas before as well too. So have you ever been robbed at any sort of home games or private games or anything like that?
Well, like I said, I have not. For a guy who's been in the poker world for as long as I have been, I mean, still got some years under my belt.
Yeah.
I've
A lot
played,
of years.
I've played
40 years maybe.
Wow, that's a little much. I'm not 65 yet, but I have not played a lot of private games.
Yeah.
So in that sense, my robbery stories are quite limited. I will say, when I first learned the game, which was in California, Santa Cruz, Capitola, I won the Sunday tournament, which was $500. That was some big shit back then. And I brought $500 to play the tournament. I think it was like whatever, $20 buy-in or something like that, and play some cash game afterwards. So I right now I'm sitting with a fucking $1,000. Thought, I enjoy my victory, just walk around the corner, grab a slice of pizza, and then come back and beat them up in the cash games. It turned out one of the guys in the cash game was the local connected man to different various entities.
Okay.
So, and I think he was tired of losing to me. So, on the way back from the pizza place, I got mugged. So, down on my knees, there was a little like bathroom stall. He forced me in there, down on my knees, something on my head, which was probably a newspaper and not a gun, but I had no intentions of finding out. Took my $1,000 and this and that. I walked devastated back to the poker room. And for about 4 weeks, I was looking over my shoulder. Who the fuck is coming there? And so on. And it was on that. I mean, the $1,000 is $1,000. Okay, it was a lot of money for me back then, but it was more the experience for like a couple of weeks that you were kind of turning your shoulder. But it took like 4 weeks, and that was that. I kind of worked it through or whatever. So I have been. It's definitely connected to the poker that I got mugged, but not during the game.
Yeah, Jungleman was just on the podcast, and he told his story. He got mugged that day.
Oh yeah.
It was insane. He came out. He's like texted me. He said, "I'm gonna be. We can do the pod, but I got mugged." I was like, "What are you talking about, dude?" He's like, "Yeah, I got jumped." Yeah. I was like, "What?" And then he came on. His eyes blackened. I was like, "What the fuck is going on here, man?"
No, it was my guys. Made a big score.
Your guys? We gotta go. What you gotta go? What do you gotta head over there right now?
I am 10 minutes past my limit,
right.
so I have to go. But I have promised my man Poppy that I will be back this summer. So
cool. Well, hey man, listen, I appreciate you coming. I ain't done a podcast in a while, but I appreciate you coming by. It's nice to talk to you as always. I'm glad you're doing well. And hopefully it's going to be a great summer. Guys, let us know what you thought in the videos. If you don't follow Gus on Instagram, link's going to be in the description below. His page is going to be right here. But bam, make sure you guys check him out. Show some support for Gus. Let him know you guys enjoy it.
It's going to be a fucking great summer.
It's going to be a great summer. That's it, guys. Much love. Peace out. Take care. Be back soon.